Grand Rising, Grand Rising. This is Adishina Shandara, Lady Indigo of Indigo Rising, Healing Through Wholeness, welcoming you into the virtual sister circle, into the sacred space of love and light, of healing and encouragement, of true and authentic discussion, of laughter, of releasing those things that no longer serve us, and just a wonderful place to sit in community around the spiritual fire. I welcome every woman on the line and I send out love and light and tether with a golden thread to those who were reached on the Evite. And I'm just give thanks for Spirit coming and meeting us here today, um, putting a hedge and an umbrella of protection around us and over us. I give thanks to the ancestors and the ancient souls and the guides and the angels that have come always to accompany us and fill in the spaces and the places between us, offering up messages and love and their energy to create a most beautiful, enlightening environment. I give thanks to our own Ori that woke us up in enough time to get on these calls and to bring us into um, an openness and increase our understanding and our understanding. I just give thanks on this morning and move in gratitude in this time, as we have said before, of rest, reflection, and reset. Giving thanks to the winter, the season where we are slowing down. Yes, slowing down and reflecting, dotting our I's and crossing our T's, taking a spiritual inventory. Yes, I just give thanks. As we just open the space, we say Ashe, Ashe, and Ashe. All right. Good morning, Sister Dharma. Good to see your beautiful face. All right. So this morning, I'm gonna key up, cue up the. I'm gonna mute some of the lines that are unmuted. Oh, Sister Dharma, can you mute your line, Sister Dharma? Perfect, beautiful. All right, I'm gonna cue up the screen. All right, can everyone see that? This
Yes.
morning, all right. This morning, our theme or our title is called Transformation in the Dark. And that is basically just another level to what we've been talking about, how this is a time of um, cultivation, of transformation, a time to um, really be still. We've done all the hard work. Now we are just, or shall I say, we've done the more physical type work. We've done the purging. We've done the deep dive and did the letting go of the things that no longer serve us, um, doing the work of forgiving and creating self love regimens and all of that. So now we're in this time of being, sitting still, reading, writing, listening, praying, meditating, Like Lena was saying, she was talking about fasting in her Sunday school. So beautiful time to fast, to cleanse our bodies with the herbs, natural herbs, and um, drink hearty soups. I mean, this is the time of spending time with yourself. And I wanted to talk and incorporate shadow work. How many of you have heard the term shadow work? And if there's anyone who has ever participated in shadow work and wants to um, give a brief talk about it, please come in right now. Anyone? No? Okay. I'm going to give a definition of shadow work. It says shadow work is working with your unconscious mind to uncover the parts of yourself that you repress and hide from yourself. This can include trauma or parts of your personality that you subconsciously consider undesirable. Shadow work is done by doing these things, discovering these things, and realizing that you don't have to pick out, clean out, let go. Those parts of you are there and they need to be incorporated in such a way that they support who you are. You know, a lot of us have pieces of us that we say, oh, I just don't like that. I don't like that part of me. I don't like when I feel that way. I don't like when, or that's not a strong trait, or um, that's not, that's not a moral trait, or something like that. Am I making sense to anyone? And we go about wanting to erase those things out of us. We want to pull those things and say, I don't like that part of me, so I'm going to let it go. Well, shadow work deals with asking very deep and probing questions, taking us back to the first time we felt that way and what was going on in our lives that would make us take on um, that perspective that that's something that needs to either be suppressed, repressed, or um, totally uh, surgically removed from us. And we look at how we have responded and come to our rescue, or what portion of us we created to survive, um, what fraction of our subconscious rises to the occasion to handle different situations. Um, Maybe we have a fighting nature. Maybe we're more emotional. Um, but either way, we ask these probing questions and we write about it and we discover those pieces of us and we take those pieces and we give thanks for them, those shadows, and we incorporate them into who we are in a healthy way. We make peace with them and we understand that um, every part of us is necessary. Um, am I making sense? Someone chime in and let me know if they are feeling what I'm saying. I know I'm not the only one that's done shadow work before. Come on. Okay. All right.
Would you say would you say that shadow work is part of yourself that you're not pleased with and you're trying to change because you know that whatever you are, sometimes whatever you're feeling inside is not what you should be feeling? Would that be shadow work?
um, close, close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to wrap my brain
Mm-hmm.
around exactly what it is. Now tell me again, what is shadow work?
All right. So shadow work is um, working with your subconscious mind to uncover parts of yourself that you repress and hide from yourself. This can include trauma or parts of your personality that you subconsciously consider undesirable.
Okay.
So I hear
Yes.
what you're saying when you're saying those things that you think you shouldn't feel, right? And that you want
Right.
to get rid of. And that could be jealousy, that
Right.
could be um um
It could be jealousy, envy, strife, all of it. All of
mhm.
those things that we know it's not from a good place, right?
Okay. That's what I'm trying to stop you though. You're saying it's not from a good place. So a lot of the things that we have in us, we want to place it in. So if we are created with this limitless amount of emotions and feelings and ways that we navigate and experience life, um, a lot of the things that come up in our journey are responses to experiences that we're having, and immediately we want to label them good or bad, right? Um, of course, I'm not going to sit up here and say that jealousy is a wonderful, wonderful trait and we should just lead with that. No. But when we feel these things such as jealousy, envy, rage, um, fear, being timid, um, and when I say fear, fear of going outside of certain limits or what we think are acceptable, um, you want to get to the bottom of when you first experienced that it was wrong. Okay, what in your, because we didn't come into this world um with that type of lever, you know. Oh, we came in just experiencing, you understand? And somewhere, somehow, we began to formulate these ideas that some parts of us were not good, and that we began to label them instead of feeling them and letting them go. We've all experienced feeling jealousy, and some of us begin to define ourselves with that. Oh, I'm jealous. Well, that's how I occurred at that time. That was a feeling. There was something going on that made me feel less than. Well, why did I feel less than? What was the reason I was feeling inferior? Why was I doubting myself? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
instead of making it an absolute feeling, because when you do that, now you're putting it in a category, and now you're saying, this is not good. But there was a reason why your subconscious brought that to the surface. And there's a lesson to be learned with that. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Lena, are you following me?
So pretty basically, we're talking about our own human emotions that haven't been dealt with,
Yep.
or relearning ourselves. What's
Mm-hmm.
there, what to keep, what to get rid of,
Mm-hmm.
what makes you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Your inner self, peeling off the layers of inner self.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And why and how certain reactions get pushed to the left and certain reactions get pushed to the right, instead of going to the core of why that portion of you rose to that occasion. The first thing we do is judge that portion that's there, and we say, oh, no, 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 no. This is unsavory. This is not good. Let me pluck it out or push it down. And then there becomes a suppression instead of getting to the root of understanding why that came up. I know I'm going around a long way, but does anybody have any comments when it comes to shadow work and dealing with those repressed or suppressed emotions, feelings, tendencies? There may be some things that you enjoy that you don't really share with other people because you may feel judged about it, because you've already judged yourself that um, it's undesirable in the big scheme of things, and you're trying to figure out why you would like it. I'm just going to be real facetious and say chitlins. Who likes chitlins? You know, you get in a crowd of people and you say you like chitlins, and 10 people are going to turn around and go, chitlins, you know,
We haven't had that in 40 years.
right.
We don't
But
eat that
you,
anymore.
right. So you don't
Loss of
talk about it. You know, I mean, I'm really being
a
surface.
loss of identity.
Right. Right. Yep. Because you're like, that's undesirable. So then what do? We go about saying, well, I need to remove that, or I need to not deal with that because there's no space for that in the conscious world. But when, there's a time around the year you get the hankering for those chitlins, and you just like, oh no.
Mm.
So maybe because it's too much hard work, number one, and you got to know what you're doing. Everybody can't cook chitlins. You got to be precise, clean. You got to even know. I tried to do chitlins, and I'm tearing this off and tearing. It was just so much waste.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh no, I can't do this.
It's like,
Too
what
much,
exactly
too
that
heavy.
happening?
And it was
Right.
almost like I didn't know the good part from the bad part.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
My mother didn't like them because she didn't like the smell of that in her house.
I understand.
Mhm.
I understand. But
Yeah.
okay. So back to the question, shadow work. So some of the questions that are asked in the shadow work exercise are um, 1 second. Shadow work. All right. So in shadow work, you may ask yourself, when you're beginning to journal, And usually this is accompanied with journaling, meditation, and prayer. Um, and a question might be, which parts of myself do I judge? What parts do I dislike about others? What do I admire most about others? When do I feel triggered? Where is this trigger coming from? Where in the past have I felt similarly? What are the emotions I find difficult to let myself feel? Where in my body do I feel these emotions? What do I do to cope with difficult emotions? Are these coping mechanisms benefiting me? So those are just a few. Oh, what emotions were invalidated during my childhood?
Get that.
hmm
I don't get that one.
What emotions were invalidated during my childhood?
Does that mean
Okay.
how you were treated by your parents?
Well, not necessarily, but you ever heard of when little kids they'll be told you're just too sensitive, you cry all the time,
Oh,
you
no.
know,
I
or
cried all the time. I
you know
cried until I was 28 years old. You said something to me to hurt my feelings.
exactly. And
And
some people,
for long periods of time, like it wouldn't be like a cry, it would be like for days.
mm,
Yeah, I
okay,
had some really bad,
okay.
very, very bad, very emotional.
Well, in some households that was unacceptable. You know, they would
Well,
tell you,
it couldn't be unacceptable if you hurt somebody's feelings, you couldn't cut up. It was just there. You had to deal with it.
and in some families that was unacceptable.
What you gonna do, kill
You could
them?
not you could not express emotions. You could not be angry. You could not, as a child, show anything but a smile. You were supposed to
And
move in
something was wrong there. And there must have been a
gratefulness.
whole bunch of people facading.
This is true. And that's how we first learn that's how we learn how to create versions of ourselves to survive. We
Oh,
learn
you
how to
mean dual
suppress.
personalities?
Um, I wouldn't go that far,
That
but I
far,
think
huh? So
I
you say
think
people have the tendency to hide who they are because
correct,
they don't want to be criticized.
correct,
Okay.
correct. They've
So
been
a lot of times you don't know your children because you have never had that conversation with who they are or what they're
perfect,
going
perfect. And again, how many of us have
through.
hidden or suppressed how we really feel? A prime example is back in my day growing up, you had to hug everybody.
Your family.
It didn't matter if
What?
a new person came into the house and they said, "Oh, hi, this is my friend," da 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 da, and they said, "Oh, you're so cute, give me a hug."
Oh no. My
If you
parents
did
were
not
not
hug
allowed.
them, you might, you know, you might get, well, what's wrong? You're not being a good person. You're not being a good girl or a good boy.
No, no,
You're not being nice. You're not being this.
no. That's
So,
mm-mm. That sounds like no. My parents say you don't sit on nobody's lap. You don't do none of them things. You don't show affection towards people you don't know.
and, and then, okay, now listen to what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
That was a hard directive. You don't show affection. You don't do this. Okay. So what if it was in your natural state to be open and show affection? There were some families that they said, hey, you're doing too much. Hey, stop being so huggy and kissy
Yep,
kissy, you know?
yep.
So it just depended on where you grew up. I see Sherry has unmuted. Come on in, Sherry.
Okay, so I am trying to make sure that I'm following you with this shadow work. So for
Oh,
me, I always say that I'm shy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for my family and my friends, they always say, "Girl, you ain't shy." But for
mhm,
me, I really am. And I think, and I'm working on that because I think it goes back to my childhood. With my family and friends, I always feel really comfortable with, showing my personality and being who I am. But when I was younger, goes back to like grade school and fourth grade. My parents had us in Catholic school, and we were all around all mostly white people. And I go to
Mm-hmm.
school with this personality, like, big, bright personality. And they'd always say, talk about me, like, your hair is braided, you're African. And at that time, to me, people saying that I was African was kind of
Wasn't a good
insulting.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it made me feel really bad and sad. And, so it was like I was ostracized, and they were like, "Well, you think you're so cute. You're only cute because you're so dark, and your teeth are white because you're so dark." And so I started to go back in myself, outside
Mm-hmm.
of my family and stuff. Um, and it shows today because still, I know I have like a lot of ideas and a lot of things that I want to do, but I kind of pull back because I don't want that criticism from other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Outside people. Um, and and so I'm working on that as a thing because I know it's really not shyness. It's about the confidence that I need to work on and build up, and know that the things I bring to the table, anybody's table, are good things and
Come
positive things.
on. That's perfect. Speak on it, Sherry. Speak on it.
Yeah. So
How
I get
many? Go ahead. Go
no, no,
ahead.
no. I was just going to say, so yeah, that's something that I really plan to work on. And because it's not really serving me well to keep
Mm-hmm.
to stay inside of a shell that I know that I'm not in, or inside of a box that I know I can be out of.
That's right.
So,
And you're not living your true self, right?
exactly. Yes.
You're not incorporating every part of you into this journey or your assignment. You're holding back. In some areas you're shrinking violet, right? Beautiful.
Yes, ma'am.
And just the process of what you just did, going back to the time those first times when you felt something wasn't right, and I had to create a boundary. I had to create a place um to what is the word, recess or go in, retreat. That's my word. Wake up, brain. To retreat to, and to create a version of myself
Right. Right.
that could survive.
Right.
Right?
And
Yeah.
then the other point that you had brought up as one of the questions of like people you admire, and just examples of how I would like to be. You are one of them. Stephanie is one of them. My sisters, and even some of my nieces are stepping out and doing what they want to do and living their dream, no matter what anybody thinks, and just pursuing that. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I'm working on as shadow work.
Ashe. Ashe. Working through it, writing through it, thinking through it, meditating through it, praying through it,
Right.
of finding your boldness
Exactly.
and being okay with it, right?
Yes. Yes.
It, yeah, all right, Ashe. That's it. That's a great example of shadow work. Um, yeah. And to Dharma's point, thank you, Sherry, for that. Back to Dharma's point, she said two things that we have all at one point experienced in our lives. On one side, we're told you don't open up enough. You're not, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you doing this? And that's unacceptable not to answer, or that's unacceptable. You know, we have all been told that a behavior that came natural or that was exactly how we were feeling was unacceptable, and that we needed to either uh, stop doing that, don't ever do that anymore, or we had to figure out a way to push it down and deem it as behavior that goes to the left. Does that make sense, Lena?
It does. Absolutely.
You know,
Yes.
So when you
yeah.
say to the left, to the right, the good girl is on the
Hmm.
right, and
The
the
bad
this
girl.
on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Things are
Mm-hmm.
acceptable, socially acceptable, and things are not.
Exactly. And that can follow us later on into our lives, even into our personal lives. And that's more areas of deep, you know, I don't want to, I want to say categorized shadow work when you're dealing with repressed or suppressed feelings around your sexuality, or
Yeah, that's what that
around,
is. Mhm.
you know, some of the things that you find exciting, and things that, or some of the things that you don't. And, you know, you either repress them because you have uh, been conditioned to think that that is not acceptable, but it's in you. So it's like, okay, God, spirit, my own Ori, what is this? This is here. And why is it here? And when, you know, how do I incorporate this understanding of this part of me so that I can be a better, more fulfilled version of myself, right? Again, we all have a full gamut of emotions, of desires, of um, ideas, and how we formulate this experience in this life.
Mhm.
And through social constraints, um, and just patterns and habits of those who create our environment, um, we begin to make these judgments. We have such a critical eye on us. Um, an example, growing up for me, I've always been kind of uh, mouthy. I've always had something to say.
That's
I've always,
quiet.
no,
Mouth.
no, mouthy, not mousy, but mouthy.
Mouth. Okay.
Mouthy, you know, I always had something to say.
Mhm.
I was that kid that wanted to hold the conversation. I was listening intently, and I wanted to hold the conversation. Well, as a young child, you know, I was supposed to be seen and not heard.
Heard.
You know, I was
Yeah.
supposed to know my place, and
Get
and
out of
and
old folks' business.
and stay out of old folks' business. However, as I
Mhm.
grew up, and I reached whatever magical age I reached, that now what I had to say was valued. But all the time I was growing up, it was like, you know, I was cut off mid sentence. I was be quiet. You talking too much. My mom would say, your mouth runs like a goose with diarrhea.
Ooh, yep. Like you got diarrhea.
And I was
Mm.
like, okay, you know, but just
That
those
means you telling
types,
everybody's business.
that means I was in there, because
Ooh.
as a kid, you have that innocence of just telling the truth. And I had
Ooh.
not been um domesticated enough
Ooh.
to know how not to hurt people's feelings by telling the truth, and by how to filter out conversations that you only supposed to say at home. And you
Mm,
understand what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I began to really, really suppress a lot of the things that I wanted to say, whether it was good, building people up and even speaking out in anger or you just begin to curb a lot of parts of yourself. And even the parts that you let out, other people will still deem too much. And so we get into this habit of suppressing, and our subconscious is always working to protect us and to keep us in a place where we can survive. And a lot of our habits and a lot of our patterns are born out of survival. And shadow work is one tool that we use to kind of turn back the hands of time and go back to that first place, or those first places as a child, when
So,
we came to some sort of realization that what was going on, there was something wrong. There was something that we needed to uh, stop doing because it wasn't acceptable and it didn't make somebody else feel good, or you understand? So these are the things that in this time of rest, reflection, and reset that we can use to further demystify ourselves. You know, why do we get offended in some places? Why do we feel disrespected? Disrespect is a word that we use a lot. But why do we feel this disrespect when we know that the person that's dealing with us, that's their own projection of themselves onto us? So why do we take these things personally? You know,
well,
all of that.
maybe because when someone says something to you that don't make sense, it makes you wonder why. And if
Mhm,
we don't ask that person why they said that or why we don't address it immediately, then that sticks with us. And then we carry it around as if, for me,
mhm,
if I'm talking to that person, this story just keeps playing in my head
mhm,
endlessly, maybe two or
mhm,
3 days until I can just get rid of it. Get rid of it. Yeah, it
mhm.
goes really, really deep, very
Right,
deep.
right.
And I don't
Yeah.
know if it's anything as to, in this sense, as to, it's not being repressed because I'm playing it out.
Right.
But
You're
it's so
living in that loop.
unnecessary and seem like it's burning up so much energy
Mhm,
but I'm just locked into that. What was said that it really disturbed me, disrespected.
mhm.
And like
Yep.
the young people, they start to fight, but
Mhm.
we just walk away and have some deeper emotional intelligence. But it can really be horrible
But
when
some of those
someone's.
conversations, some of those things, as we're filtering through all of that, they go down to some very deep places, and you start to wonder, like, why is this affecting me even this much? You know,
I never
what
had
about this is taking me to these depths of me playing the story and even creating more of a story and losing what initially happened. This is what happened, but I'm over here, you know, 5 levels on it, because not only have I been perseverating on what happened, but I've been adding how, past experiences. Why does this always happen to me? You know, am I a person that is just easily disrespected? You know, I've always been disrespected and nobody has ever seen me or heard me. You know what I mean? And it just compounds the issue. And so again, when you use the tool of shadow work, you go down to like you said, you shave away those layers with the questions, answering as honest and as thoroughly as you can through this free writing or this journaling on this question. And when you first start doing shadow work, it can be a challenge because you want to answer and sum it up with your conscious mind, a place that makes sense, that's neat and nice and has a little bow on it. Oh, I feel this way because blah, blah, blah. But then when you begin to really pray on that, you begin to meditate on that, you begin to ask your more probing questions to your inner self. Why? What? What happened? You know, that made me feel this way or made me feel that that was unacceptable. Is this something that I really want to purge out of me, or is this something that I need to transmute and have it support me in its place in my life? Ashe? Is there anyone else that wants to comment on shadow work or what this is bringing up for them? There's another one that I want us all to think about. How many of us have a difficult time taking compliments?
Mm. Well, I can say I think I do because it's been times that people give me a compliment, and I just say, "Oh," and then they be trying to keep coming, telling me more, and I'm like, almost like, "Oh, I don't know how to
Yeah,
put it.
like
Like,
you
oh,
just don't
that's
feel
not
like no, don't.
necessary," or something
Yeah,
like that. I
yeah.
don't
You
know.
diminish your accomplishments, or you diminish um your
Don't
beauty,
don't
or
give
you.
me the chance to say what they're trying to tell you.
That's right. You can't receive it. You
Mm.
can't receive it. I know there's some other ladies on here who struggle with compliments. Chime in.
Uh, Good morning again. It was about 40 years ago, maybe, yeah, 40 something years ago. So, in reference to the compliment, someone gave me a compliment and I tried to downplay it. And she just told me, when someone gives you a compliment, just say thank you, receive it. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think at that point, 40 years ago, I learned how to receive a compliment. But there's still other things, that I've had to do shadow work with and work on. But when you mentioned the compliment, that just reminded me of my friend who told me, learn
Mm-hmm.
how to receive it. And same thing with blessings. Sometimes people are so used to giving, working, giving, giving, giving. When someone
Mm-hmm.
gives them something, they don't know how to receive it. They
Mm-hmm.
won't, some people won't even let you. And I had to tell a friend, honey, God is not going to come down here and put it in your hand. He blesses
Mm-hmm.
you through other people. So I was
Mm-hmm.
able to get her to receive a blessing, a financial blessing, because sometimes people don't want people to, or they think they don't want people to do things for them. They don't know how to receive it. So I believe that's a part of shadow work. Am I
Mm-hmm.
correct?
You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay.
'Cause
Okay. So
what
yes.
in that
So go on. I'm sorry.
no, what in that person is preventing them from being able to receive? That's, I mean, it's the same thing with self-love, with love. So
Mm.
many people they want to give love, give service, give this, give that. But when it's time for someone to give it to them, oh no, 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 no. Because they equate their worth with giving. And somewhere in their experience, needing or or asking or depending was frowned upon. You know, you ask a person, what do you need? And a lot of people have a very negative connotation to the words, I need. It makes
Oh,
them feel less than. It makes them
mm-hmm,
feel um, inadequate,
mm-hmm.
right? It's a perfectly human thing, and it's okay if it's you. I can understand it and I can love you through it and I can tell you, girl, it's okay. I got you. But when I need, all of a sudden my worth diminishes in my mind because I'm at fault for why I don't have. But where did that thought come from? And shadow work is a very good way to go to the root of that. When did it become a deficit to ask for something?
Well, if I think about the proud Black African American community,
Mhm,
who, families, what goes on in the home you don't talk about.
mhm,
There could be some families that don't really have, they're working hard and everything, but their
mhm,
money should not meet their needs. But
mhm.
they don't want no one to know that.
That's
I
right.
mean, it's very embarrassing and shameful.
Mhm.
You cannot support yourself. So
Or
if
how?
someone was to give a person something, they may not know how to accept it because they don't want people to think that they're poor.
That's
They
right.
might be laughing at them or something
That's right.
behind their back. So they stick to themselves and they go through whatever they're going through until they can do better.
How many of us used to go to visit people with our parents, and before you get out the car, they say, if they ask you if you want to eat, say no. Don't accept nothing. Say no, thank you.
Yes,
Just
and you wanted not to cut you off, but you wanted to say so bad. Well, I want something. I want to eat, but you knew if you did, you get it. You'd
you
be
was gonna get
ridiculed.
in trouble. And
Yes,
let me tell you, y'all, when I said I got in trouble, I did. Because if somebody asked me if I wanted to eat, it was like hell yeah. And my
Mm,
mom could have just said, okay, we're gonna eat when we go home. So
mhm.
don't go in here. But we're sitting in there for hours and hours and hours because they're having a conversation. And it's like we've been in here for 3 hours.
Mhm.
And she said, you want a sandwich? Yes, I do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Why were
And
you
don't
so
get
quick to take them people's food?
don't
You
get it
got food at
twisted. When I
home?
got home, my mom said, didn't I tell you not to? And I'm just looking at her like, but I'm hungry. But again, I don't know what her reasons were. She may have had, all kind of reasons, and that's not for
Sometimes
me to
people
know.
think people are not clean. All kinds of reasons, like you say.
Let me tell you, as a 5-year-old, I didn't care. I was
but
hungry.
what get me with people when back in the day they would take their children to church, and church would be all day, and they would
All
expect
day
a
long.
5-year-old to sit up there like a grown person, and
Mm-hmm.
and some people would beat their children if they moved.
Pizza.
You know, that wasn't right. That
And
wasn't right.
again, how does that how would that experience play out for you as an adult in
I ain't
shaping the
going to
way?
church no more. They're gonna keep you there all day no more.
But it would teach you how to repress and
Right.
how to create a version of yourself that was not truthful, that was self sacrificing. And then when you show up in relationships and you don't make your needs known, or you endure so much, and there's always a reason, a moral reason why our shadows exist. Well, a
Mhm.
good person, or um, a godly person, or um, just, wait on your bless. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of stops that were given to us that would validate us repressing or creating these versions of ourselves that actually serve other people,
Well,
right?
I think we have to look just a little bit deeper where we came from and who was teaching us
Mm-hmm.
these things.
Mm-hmm.
These things was as African American, if you didn't know where you was at, you may as well and end up like Emmett Till.
And I
So
understand.
all these mannerisms, in a sense, was to, teach us structure and make us strong. I'm quite sure we have benefited from all these teachings also.
Mhm. I hear you.
So
And
we have
that
to look at both way, both sides of everything. Because
and
it's some deep work.
that's done in shadow work, because
Hmm.
and everything that you're saying is true. However, that may have been that in that moment, of course, we have to rise to the occasion in the present time.
Hmm.
But a lot of this behavior has traveled with us when we're out of the threat. We're not in that threat. We're not living in the same threat that as a 5-year-old, I'm not in a space. I mean, as a 56-year-old, I'm not in the same space as a 5-year-old, but I'm filtering my world in the same way at 56 as I did when I was 5. And the conditions have changed, but my mindset and my habits and my patterns have not. And so I'm living in a way that is not true to what is happening. And then that puts me in a position to suppress, to not speak up, like Sherry said, to not sometimes have boldness. She's not in that situation anywhere more where those kids are saying mean things to her. She's a grown woman that has things to say and things to do, but she's still thinking from that space. And the question is, what is the shadow that's overarching her life in such a way that she cannot forge out, not cannot, but has anxiety maybe about forging out, speaking, being seen, taking the lead, showing the world how brilliant and bright she is. And she said it quite well. She went back to one of the places where it started. Sherry, you're unmuted. Did you want to speak?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to where you said that, we have when we give to others, and then when people want to give into us, we kind of push back on that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some examples that I have is that, I live over in Antioch, but there are sometimes events, and most of the people that I deal with or work with are in East Palo Alto. So there
Mm-hmm.
have been times where I would get up super early, drive to East Palo Alto to do events, sometimes being the first one there and, just ready to help. But when I'm here at home, when I want to get up and go to an exercise class or something at 8 o'clock, that's just right down the street,
Mm-hmm.
I make all types of excuses not to do it, you know,
Uh-huh.
things that'll serve me. But when
Mm-hmm.
I'm, thinking that, when other people are dependent on me, I kind of, step up and do more than when I need to depend and pour into myself. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. That's called not wanting to look bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's called not wanting to look bad.
Mhm.
But
You
why
don't
you
want to
can't do it
be.
for yourself?
Exactly.
Why?
I make all types of excuses. I'm tired. But I'm also tired when I get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and drive an hour and 15 minutes to go and, help out with other things, which is also, a thing for me. But
Mhm.
I don't put as much energy and effort into doing things for myself as that I do for other people. And so that's
Beautiful.
something that I'm also working on.
And that is beautiful. And that is beautiful because that is the truth that we all carry. We all are sometimes will push because I say it all the time. I don't want to be the weakest link.
Right.
I don't want to be the one that doesn't show up and everybody else got their stuff and I don't. And now I'm looking crazy. I don't want to look bad. But you know what's going to stop me from doing that? Not in their eyes, but having integrity to my word to myself. And when I use the word integrity, I'm using it not in a moral sense of being a good person or a bad person, but feeling worthy enough within myself to keep my promises to myself. you know, to have such high esteem for myself like I do the people on this call, that I keep time. I keep, I'm doing much better in how I keep time. Um, I'm putting the same effort in attaining things for myself as I would, like you said, if other people are dependent on me to do it. But I'm also making sure that my no's are no's and my yeses are yes. Right? All of that can be discovered as to how we operate in relationships, how we operate on our jobs, how we operate when we're creating the life that we desire and deserve. Do we really feel like we can attain it? Do we really feel worthy of it? That's why so many of us have issues around money, whether we can actually have it
Mhm.
and move with it in abundance, or if it's
Mhm.
something that just goes to those people or that type of person. There's so many um, ways that we operate based on the cultivation of our mind around situations and circumstances and our own personal emotions, um, that all stem from childhood, early life experiences, um, a lack, um, a lack of the mentality of scarcity. There's so many, and we're functioning, smiling, surface, um, moving, but really feeling other ways, or we're moving along and all of a sudden something arises in us and we don't even know where the hell that came from. We're blindsided because it's an unconscious emotion or um, inkling that we need to examine a little closer. And again, I'm not saying in any of this am I using the word we need to fix ourselves, that we are not wonderfully, fearfully, awesomely made living this life. But I'm saying that unlocking the mysteries of ourself. Okay, Oshun. Okay, she over here snoring. Unlocking the mysteries of ourselves is the key to living life abundantly and having a very, good understanding of who we are and our purpose. Um, what makes us feel complete and things of that nature. So, is there anyone else that wants to comment before we break into the prayer?
I think I hear you saying that shadow work is dealing with past traumas.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
So
Go on.
it's the deepest root you could possibly find
Mm-hmm.
in your own self identity.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I want to throw out a couple of more questions because these are prompts for designing the life that you want. So, a couple of questions might be, if money wasn't a problem, what would you choose to do? What does your life look like when you're daydreaming? What does the ideal version of yourself look like? What qualities does this person embody? What are his or her, or what are your daily habits? What kind of people are you surrounded by? Um, how are you showing up in the world? And this is designing the life that you want. When you are creating, when you are opening yourself up to the limitless possibilities of a future undefined, how do you see yourself moving in that? Not the wanting, not the building, but the being. When you daydream about yourself, Sherry, running your business and um, living your life, and you're smiling, who do you see yourself as? What are you doing? How are you feeling in your body? That's a whole nother sect to shadow work. You know, it could be designing your future or decoding your past, right? So, with that, I just want to give thanks this morning to the information that's been put on the table. Um, a lot of areas for us to examine, and to pick up the nuggets and begin to use them in our own lives. I give thanks for Spirit just meeting us here in this place and opening our minds um, to receive the information. I give thanks really for waking up this morning and for my mind being clear. Um, there's so much that has been coming to the forefront as I have intentionally slowed myself down and began to align myself with the natural process. Um, not allowing myself to be swept up into the hustle and the bustle of the new year, but sitting back in a place of gratitude and thankfulness for each day as we go into 2024, seeing the beauty of living life and accepting it as it comes. Some things I can change, others I'm just grateful to be able to make it through, right? I give thanks for my family and those that are still here in this space. Yesterday was my dad's 6-year anniversary of his transition. And so yesterday was a somewhat quiet day. I sat at my altar cleaning it and looking over photos and touching things that were his, smelling his cologne, and remembering who he was in his human form, and finding a place in me to be grateful and thankful for who he is in his spiritual form, and that knowing that he's still with me, um, able to release some tears, able to laugh and smile. And I just give thanks for this time of being still and quiet and meditative. Um, in that space, shadow work came up as a theme for today's session, and I'm thankful for that. Just another level of our learning, another level of our expansion as a circle, but also individually. I'm thankful. I'm grateful that in the beginning of this year, I've seen um, manifestations um, appear. I was awarded my first breathwork contract, paid contract. And you all know I've been working on this breath work for years in my healing practice, and I can say I'm so grateful that I was awarded my first contract on Tuesday.
Ashe.
Gosh, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. So things are coming into fruition, and I'm sure that you all have your victory stories and places that have become clear where it was foggy and hazy before. And I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful for this space, this safe space.
Amen.
Just grateful. So we just give thanks. We give thanks to those who are in our extended circle, all the women who are on the Evite list that will hear this recording and prayerfully glean from it and begin to delve into shadow work in their personal lives. Again, not to fix anything, but to gain a greater understanding of who they are and how they move and navigate this world. Understand some areas where they have been defined or use defining language, that they don't have to stay there. That's not a life sentence, that they have the ability to rewrite the script, right? And write a whole new chapter. We give thanks for that. We give thanks for our families, our spouses, our significant others, our children, our mothers and fathers, all those that we love. We give thanks for our communities, those people that we rub elbows with every day. We may not know their names, but we give thanks for their existence in our space. And we ask a special blessing over each and every household. We ask that love be felt in each and every heart, that clarity and peace be in their minds as they move through this life, that all their needs are met, all their needs are met, and that they just understand that they are necessary. Ashe. And for those who are going through the struggle of adjusting to losses, to those who are adjusting to changes on their job, those who have moved to new places, that they could begin to establish community in those spaces, those that are haggling with decisions or needing to make choices, that they have the strength and the courage to do so, and that they can push beyond fear or uncertainty to make those choices and decisions, and then to have integrity with themselves to move in it in such a way of knowing that all their needs are going to be met and that they are worthy of good things, and that pain and discomfort are temporal, and that they'll move and they'll be on the other side of it. I give thanks. I'm so grateful for the space. I'm grateful for each and every one of you represented here today. And we just say Ashe
Ashe.
and Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. All right. Well, I'm going to stop the recording.